we live?
Look entertained, lads.
So count me down when we actually go live.
Yeah.
We're so fucking live right now, I bet.
No, we're not.
Are you sure? I can't even see the stream. Where's the stream?
I have the stream open
I'm-
at the moment. There's nothing on there.
I feel alive.
Oh, there we are. I've got the notification, right?
Just looking at you, Mike.
I don't see anything
Run
happen.
downstairs.
So we're gonna.
You need to choose a
we're gonna
bit rate.
do this, yeah, but I can't. That's the thing. I don't.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna
Wait,
make myself an event and I'll walk you through how to do
Okay,
this.
yeah, I can see.
We're live. Hello, we're live actually now.
We are?
I told you guys.
We are actually live.
All right,
we
Mike.
are.
In 3,
Okay.
2, 1.
Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to lucky episode 13 of the VR Inside podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show that is live streamed every Saturday on Nathie's YouTube channel. You can tune into the show live at 4 p.m. in Europe, 3 p.m. in the UK, and 9 a.m. in Central US. If you missed the podcast, you can catch up with it every Sunday where I upload the whole show to my own YouTube channel, Virtual Reality Oasis. Or alternatively, you can check out the audio-only version of the podcast, which is available on Google Play Music and on iTunes. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, chuck them in the comments down below, and we'll answer as many as we can.
Just really
So, as
quickly,
you probably-
can we get like a confirmation from the chat that we're live, because I still don't see any screen.
I'm seeing it.
You're
Yeah,
seeing it?
we're on a different stream link now.
Wait, chat.
It's streamed to something else.
So this is what happens when
Chat,
we go
just
live.
nod to us. Just nod
Yeah.
if we're live, okay?
What we need is prayers. We need prayers in chat for this to work properly. Together, bow our heads. Dear Lord, please, streaming Lord of Google, please allow this stream to work properly.
Okay.
Are we good?
Okay. Yeah. Now we see
we're
it.
good?
It's on a different link indeed.
Yeah.
All right.
So do we need to start again, or are we good?
No. Yeah. Well, you go for it. Do it again. I like.
We'll
I like it when you
do your intro, Mike. Do
Round
it
2.
proper.
All right, Mike. In 3.
You want me to do it again?
2.
You going to count me down?
Yeah, I will. In 3, 2, 1.
Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 13 of the VR Inside podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show that is live streamed every Saturday on Nathie's YouTube channel. You can tune into the show live at 4 p.m. in Europe, 3 p.m. in the UK, and 9 a.m. in Central US. And if you missed the podcast, you can catch up with it every Sunday where I upload the whole show to my own YouTube channel, Virtual Reality Oasis. Or alternatively, you can check out the audio-only version of the show, which is available on Google Play Music and on iTunes. And if you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, chuck them in the chat and we'll try and answer as many as we can. So we're having a few technical difficulties today. It is episode number 13, so, you know, it kind of goes in keeping. Lucky number 13, right? So I'm just going to introduce you to everyone in the room. This is the man that craves Cadbury's chocolate and recently visited my city, London. That is Nathie.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey,
England
man.
is your city.
England is my city after all, man. Every day, bro.
Nice. That's fun city. It's just
Yeah.
that the sun wasn't shining, but you know.
Well, that's London for you, man. So we have our reporter out on the road live getting the fresh scoops, and that is Zimtok5.
Hey, Mike. Live from London.
Hey, man. You're actually out and about. Where are you right now?
I am. I'm in the EXP bar, which is about to host about 2,000 Twitch streamers, broadcasters, viewers, and staff who are congregating here in about 2 hours' time for a massive party that's going to go until late and probably even later than late. So
Wow.
I'll report back on that after the event.
Yeah. You're brave being outside, man, because it is freezing in London.
It is a little bit cold.
Yeah. The things you do for the show, man, sacrifice. That's what I like to see. Dedication. So the next guy, he is the fastest YouTuber alive. Apart from when he's playing Sprint Vector, he's not so fast when he plays.
Hush, Mike, hush, Mike. It's the game that
guy.
limits my abilities. I mean, if you have to press buttons, then I'm always a bit slower.
Right. I understand. I can't wait to play that game, man. I can't wait. I can't wait to play that together, but we'll come to that a bit later on.
Definitely.
And finally, we got our special guest. He does a lot of work on VR Locomotion and has made VR versions of Sonic and Mario. We have Nimzo. So welcome to the show, Nimzo. Nice to have you, man.
It's me, Tim Sonny. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I've been dying to get on this show, dying to get on it.
Well,
Yeah.
it's good. It's
So
good
hi
to-
everyone.
It's good to
First time seeing my face. Sorry about that.
It's good to have you on the show, man. And then last but not least, myself, Mike, the bearded bald guy from Virtual Reality Oasis, the host of the show. So today we've got a show packed full of information for you. We've got Doom VFR first impressions. We have got Sprint Vector. We've got the Varjo Retina headset and VR Locomotion solutions with Nimzo. So to kick off the show, we're going to talk about Doom VFR because obviously that just came out yesterday. So in last week's podcast, we were talking about whether the game would be blocked because it is sort of described as being released for HTC Vive and PSVR only. So we wasn't quite sure whether it was going to work on the Rift. But what we found was that when you actually launch it with the Rift, it got to the sort of title credits and then it sort of crashed back out to Steam VR. But then Steam VR really quickly patched it and did a Steam VR update for the beta. Which allows you to play the game. So if you're not aware of how to do it, I'll quickly describe how you can get this working on the Rift right now.
Is that for Doom?
This is for Doom VFR, yeah.
Oh,
so
thank God.
Yeah.
So if you've got an Oculus Rift, grab a quick pen and paper or just go back to the stream later on, and this is how you do it. So essentially, you go into your Steam VR library, you go to Tools, which is at the very top, and select the drop-down menu. You scroll down to Steam VR in your Tools list, and then right-click and select Properties. Once you're in there, if you go into the Beta tab and select the drop-down menu and select Beta Steam VR, then it will automatically start an update for Steam VR, and then you just reset Steam, and then you can jump into Doom VFR with your Oculus Rift and enjoy the game.
So it's like a normal beta update then, Mike, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
so
update a bit.
it's kind of like a little patch from Steam VR just to get it working, essentially. You know, in terms of the game, you know, there is other issues there that, you know, it's not fully optimized, obviously, for the Oculus Rift. So from what I've tried so far, it's a little bit laggy, but I'm going to play around with it later on today, and hopefully we'll have a video up soon.
Okay.
So you guys have actually been playing this, right?
Correct.
I beat it.
Already? Whoa.
Boom. I didn't sleep last night, but I did.
Okay. So you've been sacrificing your sleep to play this game?
Yeah, you
And
say that.
And what have you been playing it on? Because you've not been playing it on the Vive or the Rift, right?
No. I stayed away from Rift. I think I would just say I love Reddit. I love Reddit. I love how Reddit reacts to certain titles, this one in particular. Half of them hated it, half of them loved it, and I find myself flipping between the two sides of that coin. But I played it on PSVR, so playing it on PSVR was really good fun. But I have to say that the control systems that it supports all three options. You can go DualShock, simple gamepad. You can go for the Move controllers, so you get kind of hand movements in the game. And you can go for the aim controller, which launched with Farpoint. I actually started with the aim controller, and in the tutorial, couldn't teleport. There's like a place where you jump, and I was like teleporting into a wall. So that was the first problem, and I was like, well, feck this, and so I chucked that aside. And I ended up playing that first whole night just with the two Move controllers. And actually, the hand presence was pretty good, and actually the ability to kind of shoot the guns and also inspect the guns, like the gun models, really nice. Again, I'm going to turn it over to the rest of the floor for a little bit, but I found that of the three controls, the next night, like the first night I'd say wasn't so positive. The second night I played it, when I finished it, and it took me about 5 hours start to finish on what I thought was the hardest difficulty, but I later learned the others were just coded in red. So the hardest blue difficulty, which was ultimate something or other. I think that the DualShock controller, if you want like fast paced and you want no interruptions, like just gore, violence, and killing, then that was great. That's the first time I had fun with the game. Whereas before, I was well too distracted with the aim and the Move controllers.
So can you play this on PC with a controller right now, or is it just the Vive controllers?
There you go.
Nathie, how did you play it, Nathie?
I played it with motion controllers, of course, but I was surprised they went for gamepad on PC too, because it's kind of like going back to the old days. I can remember when I had like my DK1 and DK2, I was still playing games with like guns in front of me, you know, and they moved with my head. But I mean, that's really cool that they did that. Of course, like most people that buy a headset now on PC do have motion controllers. I mean, that's not really a thing. I'm sure on PlayStation VR, there's still people that still only have a gamepad. But I played it with my motion controllers and.
So we see Vive controllers, right?
Yeah, Vive controllers. It also works with the touch controllers if someone is just tuning in.
Question about that, in fact. Does it do what the old sort of Vive controller-based games do, where you have to push the analog stick in, or is it coded to work properly like an analog stick?
You mean if you can walk around with the touchpad?
Can you just actually move it around with the analog stick? Have you tested it on the Oculus?
I haven't tested it on the Oculus. I think Mike did.
Yeah, so basically with the Rift, you have to push in the thumbstick to activate the teleport.
And then that was the problem.
if you push it in and move it in any direction, you dash in that direction. So it's got dash and teleport, but it's not got rotation on the stick.
Yeah. Oh, that's a problem for me then.
But I mean, I did enjoy the game. It's really, it gets closer to how Doom should be in VR, not locomotion wise, that's for sure. I mean, it doesn't do it for me in a way. I'm happy they did found a way to like combine dashing and teleporting together. I think that's really nice. I haven't seen that before, but not being able to do a glory kill by just like in the face, you know, like those kind of things aren't present, and that's exactly what
you
Doom
can't
is,
you can berserking. You can when you're berserking, actually. You mean
that's
just
true.
Hammering someone?
Yeah, just doing it without the power-ups. Yeah. But
okay. See, I didn't play the original Doom, so I don't have any exposure to that.
Oh, so yeah, I get your point, but with Doom, you could just like use your weapon to bash like a a demon.
Yeah, there's no melee.
No, there's no
melee attacks at all.
But I gotta say, like I first I was like, this locomotion system, I don't really like it, but after a while you really notice that it's like pretty fast paced and it works well, but still there should be free locomotion in the game. It's a must. I mean, it's weird that the PlayStation VR has it, but PC doesn't. This is the first time I've seen this crossover in a way. But overall, fun game. If they have more locomotion options, I think it's really nice. There are some problems with like optimization, and also the gun angles don't seem to be aligned correctly. But if that's out of the way, then I think this is a nice game. It's kind of short, but still I can't complain. It's freaking the first Doom VR game, and the level design is beautiful. And I know, but still, I don't think this one is getting even close to like the Doom 3 unofficial VR mod. That one was also very good, and they are different in a way. But I think like the unofficial modded ones are still much better. I don't know. Just
maybe it's a sort of thingy where you're just loving the old past there.
No, of course, and I mean this is also opinion based in a way, but I don't know.
So how long have you actually logged into the game then, Zim?
Me. As I said, so the developers were saying it was like a 6 to 8 hour game, and usually I take about 50% longer. But 5 hours I clocked it on quite a tough difficulty. So,
oh, you finished it?
Yeah, done, finished.
Oh wow!
And by the way, in terms of bugs, the end scene bugged for me, so all we saw was a black screen and then 14 minutes of credits.
Oh wow! That was even on the PSVR.
That's not a bug. So, that's not a bug. That's just someone who wanted to mess with you, I think.
Yeah. Oh, fucking hell! I swear, Rowdy. What about you? Like you played, right?
Yeah, I played, but I haven't played it that far yet. I've played it for like roughly like an hour, just testing it out.
That's where you got to, right? You got to the like big guys who start teleporting.
Yeah, I've done that part. I didn't understand the berserking. I took like one time a berserk and I lost my gun. I was like, where the heck is my gun? It was only after I killed everyone that I realized like, oh wait a minute, I got like a berserk mode here. But I have to say it's a fun game. I kind of like it. There are like issues with it, like Nathie has already addressed. I also think that maybe because they developed for both PlayStation and for PC at the same time, I think that the way that the hand angles are, they're a bit off for me. It doesn't feel like my hands are like more like tilted down when I actually am holding.
Really?
For me, it was like that.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't have that at all on PSVR.
Was that on the PSVR that you were playing around?
No, they're both
Vive.
PC. They're both Vive.
Yeah, on the Vive, Steam VR has settings to change your alignment but it's sort of an actual config file.
Okay.
That's for Oculus anyway.
Yeah.
You can actually set the alignment of that controller specifically.
Yeah, but I'm not
It's
going to
weird,
go
though.
into the game files for a game that I need to play. So.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense. Now it makes sense because when I played Robinson the Journey with my Vive controllers, I had the same issue. So it seems like the PlayStation VR version is like implemented in the PC version in terms of like where the hands are. You know,
It's not like big of a
I'll tell you what I
problem.
found.
Sorry, go ahead.
Ready.
The thing is, like, it's not that big of a problem for me. I do find it, that was the first thing that I noticed, like my hands are not completely aligned to my controller, but it's not like it's like a big, huge issue. There are like bugs in there as well, because when I had like like monsters coming close, I tried shooting them, or my aim is just really bad. That's a possibility as well. But I tried shooting them and I couldn't hit them. I had to like dash away to get like, hitting them.
Before we get off the subject of the weapons, when I started with the aim controller, you literally start and your arms are like this, stuck
In
to
front
your
of your
head.
face.
Like it is a joke. Like just like take them away, or give me the option to take them away, because it looks ridiculous. I couldn't play that way, even if I wanted to. So I think that they honestly, if I compare the two Bethesda published titles now, right? If they had the Skyrim push the button to go forward, and when you move the move controller, you go in that direction. If they had that control scheme, I would definitely play with move. But without that, the move configuration is ridiculous. Like, to try and keep this in your head, the configuration is, the 4 points on the move controller. It's forward, back, left, right. Like, try to strafe with that combination in your head while things are coming at you all around.
Yeah.
And on the other controller, doing the 180 flip so that you're not losing camera tracking. Like, it is not an easy setup.
And that's the thing, because that's why I say as well, like, that I think that they took like the development they did on the PSVR and took that to the Vive, because we have a touchpad, and we can like go. We have multiple directions on that touchpad, but we can only dash forward, backward, left, and right. And for me, that felt incredibly weird to do that, because it's just WASD, but then on the touchpad with the buttons left, right, and forward.
Yeah.
It's so weird to do that.
Is it relative to the headset?
No, it's not relative to the controller, but only relative to where you're looking. So if you're looking to the left,
if you look to the right, and then you dash forward, are you going that way?
You go into the direction that you're looking.
Yeah,
I did not like that. I did not like that. That's one of the first things.
Stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the other thing that I would say is the first impression. You said first impression.
You're breaking up, Nims, though.
Again?
You're back.
Oh, for God's sake! I've just noticed it.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
Oh, I'm back.
When you load into the game, and you get Doom VFR, you go through 3 or 4 scenes, which are all 2D, flat panel. Then you get this Doom VFR, which is like a 2-layer sandwich, which moves with your head like a texture in Half-Life 1. When you like move your head and the grass moves?
Yeah.
Are they
like a bump texture
for a VR game? And then the 14 minutes of credits, the exact same thing. It is just a giant flat box. What are they thinking with that?
So did you have any problems with textures popping in and out as well? Because like I've only fired it up on the Rift for like 5 minutes, but I found textures were popping in and out. Like you say, that the hands weren't aligned very well. But it all ran a bit weird. But then again, it's not optimized for the Rift. And Bethesda did actually issue a statement yesterday. They said
they're working on it.
Doom VFR was officially released for HTC Vive and PSVR. Our development team focused on making the game look and play great on those 2 platforms first. However, as we've always said, our goal will be to bring VR titles to them as many platforms as possible, and we'll continue to evaluate expanding these options in the future. And they said, we're only supporting the Vive and PSVR. While we heard Steam has been updated to allow the game to be playable on the Rift via a beta, the development team has not yet had opportunity to test, optimize, and refine the game for Oculus Rift. So that might be why. But I'm going to be doing some more testing.
Correct statement.
But this is like 50-50, right? So just like Reddit, right? We talked about the bad half. Unless anyone else has anything else to chuck into the bad pot.
Me.
Go on, Nathie.
So you can't change the way you have your hand. So you always have a grenade launcher in your left hand. And I had many times where I dropped a grenade out of nowhere because I wanted to use my hand to pick something up, because there is no interaction with your hands. So you can't just pick objects up that are laying around the map.
What if you're left-handed?
I was missing a bit more like interaction. You know, everything got done with laser pointers, and yeah, you could do a lever once or twice.
You're too VR experienced.
Yeah, you're too experienced, and then it's confusing to play. So I was like, okay, so I can't press
backwards.
Was there an option?
Roll.
Was there an option to go left-handed actually?
No.
I don't know. No. I checked it. It wasn't there. I'm sure they're gonna change it now. But I also tried to crawl through a vent because there was like a little vacuum cleaner. So I was like, hey, I can go in there. And then later on, the vacuum cleaner went through, and I was like trying to get through as well. When the doors open, I was like, hey, wait for me, man. But those are the things, like, you know, it's a map, it's a level, but you can't really make use out of it.
That would have been a great Easter egg, being able to climb through that.
It's more like a Hollywood
there
song.
are some good Easter eggs, and the fact that people don't know this, you can actually
excited to play it.
Old school Doom levels, unlock those and play them. I played one right the way through, and they're hard. They're not easy.
Nice.
But this
They're
is
sweet.
This
Really
is
well
super
done.
surprising though, for like a game that's built for VR from the ground up.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit right. Do you know what I mean? Like, all these things should have been sorted by now, because how did they not know that this was going to be what the community wanted? You know, free locomotion, snap turning, if you want that, you know, and these kind of like...
It's too many branches.
Yeah,
That's what happened to them.
Exactly.
They win too many, and that's why they didn't make it to Rift, because their QA team is going, guys, I can't make the date. I can't make it. We have to cut something.
They're an experienced game developer, but don't forget that this is like I guess the first VR title that they're actually making. It's new for them as well. It's new for them as well, even though they're a AAA company.
They probably had the issue of just trying to get both the console version and the PC version working, because the console is truly limited. I was using this before the Rift arrived, and you have no directional control on the basic move controller. And the Navi controller that does have directional control doesn't have tracking. So there's just no way around it. There's just no way to correct it. What I was doing was, on my first Halo VR video, I'd held that in and move it forward, and it tracked my movement, and that was my direction. It was a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest.
So Nimzo, on that middle button in Skyrim, if you hold that, it will by default go forward. If you turn the controller behind you, you will then go backward. So it becomes a little bit swimming as to where you want to go. But that actually would work way better than what they did.
Yeah. See, that's the problem with them being sort of very new to it. They're trying everything, I think, and they'll stick with the Skyrim version, probably most likely.
But
on the good side,
moving to like the positive side of Doom VFR. First of all, it's a big push for VR. Same for Skyrim. You know, the same is going to happen with Fallout. So how many people didn't like buy a Vive now or a Rift or a PlayStation VR as a bundle? You know, together with like all those games. It's crazy. But moving to like the game itself, I would say like intense gameplay, stunning graphics, classic Doom music, of course. I mean, if the music starts like, you're gonna kill everything and die.
It's a damn good looking game.
and of course, lots of weapons. I was like, this weapon, man. I played with it. I got really excited. You know, at some moments you're like, yes, I can have this weapon and I can use that. And also, it's really challenging, of course. Depends on what difficulty you played it on. I played it on medium, and it was still freaking difficult at some moments because it's so chaotic. They just spawn all the monsters in front of you, and it's like, okay, have fun and try to kill them. You know.
Get to the ending. It's actually a well worthwhile ending. It will challenge you, and I don't think that with move or aim I could have beaten the ending. Like there wasn't enough tactile control. I would have been kind of all over the place. But like you, Nathie, that soundtrack, it just brought me back to Quake 2. Like it felt like 9 Inch Nails or something. Rowdy, you're gonna love it. Like play more of it. The soundtrack gets even better.
I will.
Really, really good. It's so gritty.
So for you guys, the dash, locomotion, and the teleport didn't bother you at all?
The thing is, I did not like the dash at all. If I could combine smooth locomotion together with teleporting, because the teleporting is cool. It's really well done, I think. It became a game mechanic since you can use it to explode. Like it feels really fast paced. But the dashing, I really didn't like, and that was simply because of that weird control scheme of WASD, but then on my touchpad, it made me. It's probably again like one of those comfort features that like let's make them dash forward instead of smooth. It makes me more sick than if it was just smooth locomotion on a slower pace, and then use the teleporting to go fast. That's my opinion.
Plus, I was getting stuck a lot when I was using the dash. I was like, I need to go that way now, and then I suddenly went into a wall again.
And it doesn't just make sense because, for example, they say, oh, but you can use the dash to like go away quickly from an enemy. When I want to go quickly away from an enemy, what I did a couple of times, I looked at the enemy. Oh, I need to get away, but because I look at them, I go closer to them, which doesn't make any sense because I'm like pointing to the other direction. All of a sudden, I'm standing in front of them.
Where like you forget that when you release, you're gonna jump right in front of them.
Yeah.
And you're like, ah.
So much for the positives, guys.
It's hard because it's very conflicted. The thing I gotta say is another huge positive for me: seeing the full-scale 40-foot model in front of you. My God, the detail. The Coca Demon or whatever that fucking eyeball-looking thing with the teeth. When it opens its mouth and comes at you, and the slow-mo is like Max Payne.
Oh, slow-mo.
It's really good.
Oh,
it's really good.
Sexy.
So
slow-mos are very sexy.
This is such a contended title. I am just like Reddit. I am 50% hating it and 50% loving it. If I had only played on DualShock, I'd been good. I'll tell you what I want. Nathie, this is going to go against what you said earlier. I want mouse and keyboard support. Because with that, I'd feckin' play that game no problem on the hardest difficulty, and I would enjoy it. I don't need the controller. I just want my mouse. Give me WASD and a mouse and that headset. Sorted.
Yeah, I might actually try using the controller on PC. I'm going to probably try it later on
today. Mike. Trust me. Because you get total smooth motion. So smooth loco around this way, smooth turning. It's beautiful.
Yeah, interesting. So that is Doom VFR. You know, I know that we're kind of a bit 50-50 on the fence right now, whether you should pick it up. But if you like the old school Doom vibe and you're into Doom, then maybe it's worth checking out. Obviously, you can always refund it if you don't get on with it. So it's available on Steam VR now for $19.99 in British pounds, $29.99 in US dollars. So we're going to move on to another game that is not actually out yet. It's actually coming out early next year. But it's a game by development studio Sovios. They're the studio that made Raw Data. So this is a game called Sprint Vector.
Did you say raw dating?
Raw dating, yeah. You can get into raw dating if that's your bag. But this is basically Sprint Vector, and they say, welcome to Sprint Vector Championship Intergalactica, where the physical thrill of extreme sports meets the unhinged energy of a crazy game show. Run, jump, climb, fling, and fly at extreme velocity as you race up to 8 players and battle obstacles in this frenetic VR adrenaline platformer. So that sounds pretty cool. It's really got, it's got an interesting locomotion, right? You've played it, Nathie and Rowdy?
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, you played it as well?
I got second place on a convention, so I almost won their prize. On my first play, by the way. Rowdy, I'm coming for your scores, dude.
What could you win then?
I think it was a T-shirt. I think it was a Servios Raw Data T-shirt at the time. No. Actually, they came out. They have a beautiful T-shirt, by the way, for Sprint Vector. It's a blue.
Yeah, I've seen it.
That merch. Got to get that merch. Drop it like a gotcha.
But the point is, right? This game is the exercise game you want in winter. Because when you can't go outside and go jogging outside, your heart rate will max out in this game. The amount of like how hard you have to push it, and then you're like pushing forward like Superman. Beautiful. But I don't know. You guys have played a more recent build. What's it like?
It's really, really like action-packed in a way. You know, I can't wait for the multiplayer. I think that single player was fun, but after a few rounds, I was like, I want to play it with my friends.
You didn't play multiplayer.
Oh no, you can't do that in the build we got access to now. But the way like they use the controls is very smart. You can do so many things. I never knew you could do this many with like the controller while running around that much as well. And the mix of like excitement is crazy. You fly, you jump, you run, and it's a mix. And you need to be really smart and fast. And the more you play the level, the faster it goes. You know, and it's really addicting. I think it's gonna be one of those popular kind of esports things. That's what I said on Twitter, at least.
The thing I think is the coolest is the double jump. I really like that one. Like you can when you're like midair, you can still do like that extra little push. Actually, I caught myself doing that like a couple of times. Like you get that push, and then like Like, you know, you do that extra jump by
What about the wall
yourself.
climbing? Like.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
also
yeah.
climb. I totally
Like
forgot
this.
that one. Yeah.
So what
It's,
did
it's
you have
almost like
access?
speedrunners. It's almost
Yeah.
like speedrunners in VR. That's
It
what
is
it
a
is.
speedrunner
Exactly
game.
what you
They-
want in VR.
they
You want
should
to be
add
able
hooks.
to do that. Yeah.
That's it. They need hooks. That's all.
Yeah.
And then speedrunners.
So in terms of the build that you had access to, what did you actually have access to? Was it like 1 level, 2 levels, couple of characters?
2 levels.
Yeah.
I do hope that. I do hope.
Characters are really cool too.
Yeah.
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 And this is what I like about this, the look of this game. It's very stylized. It's got some cool music on the trailer. If you go and check that out, I think Rowdy's playing the trailer in the background right now, but the music to it is actually really cool. It's got these real colorful characters that all seem to have their like unique personalities as well that you can choose from. And like Nathie said, like I think this with 8 players, racing is going to be real fun.
Oh my God, 8? They're doing 8 support because they told me only 4 back when I.
8?
Because I
8
played
players.
1 versus 1.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
days.
played against one of the Servios dudes.
When you
and,
played
that
multiplayer,
was
when you
really
played
good.
multiplayer, could you punch as well like the other one or something? When you were
Honestly,
running?
I was so far out in front, Rowdy. I barely.
Wow.
If they haven't done that, they'll probably do that. They'll probably get to that.
I
I
wonder-
think
that
roughhousing is really important. But actually, you know, when I saw their movement mechanic, that's quite Nimzo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
It's what I wanted to avoid with my systems was to have any sort of hand tracking at all. It's only the direction of the hand that affects it, which is mostly your thumb anyway. Beyond that, it's the head tracking that does everything at the moment, which I would love to have as a hip tracker or feet.
Right.
But right now, it's only the head tracking. And what I love about that game, Sprint Vector, what I've seen on YouTube, on Nathie's channel so far, I haven't seen any of the other guys, sorry. But I don't know if anyone else has played it actually, is that it's doing what I believe, what I'm an advocate of in VR, which is to be able to do everything a human can do. So we shouldn't be limited by, we can see a brick wall here. In real life, I could climb that quite easily myself, even with these tiny little arms. But in VR, I can't do it. Why not? And they're doing exactly that. They're just giving you everything.
Yeah, it's definitely one that I'm looking forward to checking out. It's due for release in early 2018. I think
What?
we're actually trying to.
They
Yeah.
pushed it back. They were
Yeah.
supposed to release before Christmas.
No, it's going to be early next year, man.
That's it. I'm talking to Amy.
Well, we're actually we might
Amy,
actually
if you're
have
watching-
her. We might actually have her on the show. I've been
Okay.
talking to her, so hopefully we'll have her in the show in the new year when the game releases, and she could talk about the show. And yeah, we can maybe jump into some 8-player Sprint Vector. So that's one I'm actually looking forward to, and it's one that we've mentioned before about like being fit. You're going to have to be pretty physically fit to be good at this game.
Definitely.
Because,
I would like to
the
see more
motion-
maps, like a ton more maps, like
No.
40
Why
maps.
isn't there a
Keep
VR
that.
gym? Why isn't there a VR gym game? There's not a single gym sim, is there?
The gym
in
sim.
there, like pumping on.
A gym sim. Yeah.
Ooh. 101. 102.
We don't have the weight yet. We don't. I could give you a very heavy object to just hang on your hand controller, and there you go. VR gym sim. Perfect.
There is a squatting VR simulator. If that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Does it? Do you take your headset and put it on your butt?
Well, kinda, yeah.
Well, you
It's
won't be
very
skipping.
cricket.
You won't be skipping leg day if you do that. But yeah, you're gonna have to be physically fit to check out this game because, like, I don't know if you've ever played Gorn, you'll know what the locomotion is like. You have to kind of swing your arms, but this is like extreme. Like you're really like throwing it, and the further you arc your arms, I think the greater the
Faster you-
speed. Is that
yeah.
right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a video showing me going completely breathless in Sprint Vector. So if you want to check it out,
Yeah.
you can see, now, Rowdy, what you're up against. It's fucking done. Dude.
Yeah. I'm. He thinks he's the
Overconfident.
fastest YouTuber alive, but I
I
I'm
am.
confident we can.
I
take him
know
down.
I
We
am.
can take him down.
Well,
also-
I think that combined with like happy hour events in this game, with like monthly new content, is gonna be a great combination. Like raw data has been showing off that Servios has showed up with raw data as well that they can like keep the game alive in a way for many months. So I'm sure this one is going to be a very interesting like hit within like the VR industry.
So that is Sprint Vector coming
Yes.
soon. That's going to be available on Rift, HTC Vive, and PSVR, by the way. So moving on quickly to Varjo, which is a Retina display headset. So this is basically a Helsinki-based company called Varjo Technologies. They've recently announced a headset that they're working on, and their goal is our vision for your next computer is clear. With it, you'll see virtual reality and mixed reality as clearly as you see the real world. So what they want is to have a headset that is as good as the human eye resolution, which is a pretty bold claim. And how they're going to do this is by making a bionic display. And what's special about this bionic display is that it's actually 2 displays per eye. So you have a single 1080 by 1200 context display that sits in the background, and then a much smaller 1920 micro display that is tracked to your eye and I guess moves around, which I don't know how they're going to make that work. But since this headset features eye tracking, the image from the smaller display is designed to move in tandem with the eye's natural movement. This, in effect, makes the perceived resolution much higher than a standard fixed display like those found in the Oculus Rift or HTC Vive. So that's pretty crazy, like a tiny little screen with a bigger screen that's going to track your eye movement.
They're not the first ones, right? Like, because we've been hearing this stuff, the whole retina tracking system, since DK1 days, but I've not seen a system that has been publicly demonstrated.
Yeah, I think what they're doing there, I don't know why they would have a mechanical thing moving the screen. They just probably have a really high-res screen, and it does what Resident Evil does on the PSVR, where you've got everything beyond your visible screen is blurry and low-res, and that visual screen, once we've got the eye tracking, it can just move with you, and you get perfect high-res in that small zone without the performance issue.
Yeah.
Is it mechanical then?
I'm assuming.
I guess so, but I have no idea how it works because they haven't shown any of that.
It sounded like a software layering, so almost like a 2-stage. The way I was imagining it was more of the image and then another image, and it's a kind of more like a Minority Report style.
It would have to be a high-res display then.
It's physical, so you've got a context display and then a moving focus display that tracks your eyeball. But like you say, how that's going to work or how that's going to move, I have no idea. But what they've well, who knows?
Projector possibly, yeah.
Because they've announced big partnerships as well. Like, so this is like a legit company because they've partnered with 20th Century Fox, Airbus, Audi, BMW, and Technicolor. So they're really pushing forward. The company says its beta prototypes will be shipping to new and existing partners during the first quarter of 2018. And the CEO and founder of Varjo Technologies, Euro Contori, he said a profoundly revolutionary headset will be with you by the end of 2018. So
bold claims.
The trailer also looks pretty legit. I mean, I like it.
Yeah,
nice.
And this is the great thing. Like, we've got some real big pushes forward in terms of what they want in terms of pixel density and resolution in headsets. So you got the Pimax obviously doing what they're doing with the 8K. You've now got companies like this on board. It's going to be really interesting to see what the space looks like this time in a year's time. Because I know Oculus and HTC are going for the mobile, but then you've got companies like this that are kind of breaking out and doing something really crazy, really like pushing the envelope in terms of the technology that's available right now. In terms of positional tracking for this headset, it's going to use the Lighthouse tracking from the HTC Vive. So it's going to be a really interesting one to keep an eye out for. So the Varjo headset.
It's always I always found that very interesting technology, just like the retinal tracking. That I really think that that will increase like the potential for like VR headsets just in general. If we can get like high resolution and just a very because if you know like the actual eyeball, it also has like a very small point of focus, and everything else is peripheral. It's much more blurry, and it's a very wide field of view that we have, but the actual focus of our eye is pinpoint. It's only a few millimeters that you can actually see really focused.
Yeah. So yeah, but this is the thing though with all these headsets and all big advances in technology like this. Like it's all well and good having a fantastic headset, but what content are we going to be using on this headset, right?
Of course.
If they've got partners like 20th Century Fox and like Audi and BMW,
please don't start your own platform, please.
Yeah, use OpenVR or something like that.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
I mean, the thing we've been seeing recently, right? The teeth are out. Like, exclusivity is here to stay. The platforms are bloody fighting. It is war right now.
Yeah, you're right.
Once that dies down, at least we'll have that openness. But it is going to be like that for now, I think. Yeah.
For years.
I mean, the other thing I would say, sorry, about the whole sort of eye tracking thing is beyond the technology side, it's something that's going to change your immersion quite completely. So one of the things that I've seen, obviously I used to use the Locomotion before, and that uses the same thing that the Kinect uses for tracking your hands. But if we did that now on the facial movements, and we had, you know, high-end CG level face tracking with your eye tracking, and you saw a character next to you moving like that, you're going to get scared at how realistic that's going to feel in front of you. And that immersion will just change completely.
Yeah, that is going to be a game changer. But, you know, I think I can understand why there is exclusivity right now and everyone's pushing for it. It's just because the amount of money that these big platforms are having to pump into these game developments is huge, because the market isn't big enough right now. So, you know, like dev studios are relying on Oculus and Sony and HTC to pump money into their games. And that's why they're buying this exclusivity, because without this exclusivity, the games just won't exist. It's as simple as that right now. The market is just so small, they're not recouping the amount of money that they're putting into the development of these games.
And one last question for you, Mike, on this, just on a health basis, right? Retina beaming. How do you guys stand on this? Because to me, honestly, I'll be skipping this probably in the first round. I'll probably sit out and say, "Look, you guys get your eyes beamed. I'll report back when your eyeballs don't fall out in a year."
Well, they actually had Prince William demo this at a recent event, and if they are willing to shine lasers into his eyeballs or whatever it works, then I think I'm willing to go for it. So,
the thing is, before it comes to Europe or the US, it needs to get certified anyway. So if the technology, I had the same thing with like the TP cast. Like, I'm not that willing in putting like a huge battery on top of my head. Of course, now it's not a battery. Now it's like a wireless module. But even that, because it's
is it just because of the hair?
Yeah, of course, the hair.
Hair.
I don't care about my brain. Like, my brain doesn't matter. It's the hair that matters. No, but the thing is, like, you know, all those things are certified through so many manners that before they get like to the European or the US market, I doubt there will be any health issues with that.
But even then, we have had recent examples with things like the Samsung phones. So it is still, no matter how well you've tested it, how many.
Of course.
Do not scare me with like standalone VR headsets blowing up in our face.
That's not going to happen. We don't have batteries. We have wires.
Yeah, not yet. What's next year bringing? All standalone headsets.
It'll take me about a year to get the damn thing, so don't worry about it. I'm going to lag behind for a year. It'll be fine.
I mean, it's not a problem for Rowdy. He just researches his own brain, so...
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah. Fortunately, I don't have the issue that Rowdy has. I don't mind messing up my hair to jump into VR. So,
there are benefits to everything.
Yeah. So moving on, just another quick hardware announcement, because we've discussed it previously on the show, and that is the Zephyr VR Wind attachment for VR headsets. They did meet their Kickstarter goal and went a little bit over it, in fact. But then they've cancelled it recently. So this was the statement that they released. They said, "So many of you were incredibly generous in supporting our project and helping us reach our funding goal. But when we took a look at the number of Zephyr units sold, the volumes weren't high enough for us to manufacture in a high-quality, scalable way. We were hopeful that there would be enough consumer demand for this embodiment of the VR to do so, but it looks like we're a bit too early. We cancelled the campaign before the funding period ended, so nobody's credit card has been charged. And as a small gesture of gratitude, we're giving everyone a $5 Amazon gift card to who backed the campaign."
$5?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot, actually, when you compare. How many people, how many people must have already...
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, why did they decide to do that? I guess it's a sorry.
I guess so, yeah. And I would imagine they want to try again on the Kickstarter platform in the future. So
they don't want to have a bad taste in the mouth.
Yeah, but it just, so Nimzo, just so I'm clear there, like, $5 to them is huge. Whatever they had to fork out to pay that. But on the flip side, the receiving end is gonna go like $5. What are we gonna do? Buy toilet paper?
Yeah, I guess you're right. But
that's why I'm saying, why would they do that? But I guess
it
it is just please, next time I put something on Kickstarter, please still back it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't feel like that I've done you over. That's probably why they made sure to cancel it before you even charged the debit card, so they wouldn't have that problem either.
No, they're right, and they sort of mentioned that they're working with perfecting the SDK, building better partnerships with game designers, so they can maybe do something a bit bigger in the future. And I think that's kind of where they're getting at. So I think, like you say, they just want to keep everyone sweet for the next iteration of the Zephyr VR. So if that happens, obviously we'll keep you updated. But sort of moving on now to Nimzo, and obviously a lot of the work that he's been doing with Locomotion in VR. So for those of you that don't know, so Nimzo has been making sort of like little like demo games using innovative versions of Locomotion, and which is branded like Walkomotion. Is that right, Nimzo?
Yeah. It was just a name that I came up with sort of halfway down the line, after about a year after I made the Mario one.
Well, it's a good name, but like he said, like you've done a Mario game and a Sonic game, and also you're working on something Halo at the moment. Is that right?
Yeah, so that is actually where the idea came up when I had the DK2. This was before any of the consumer versions released.
Yep.
And I think the first video I uploaded was actually, I just used Halo assets as just to test it. And in fact, the first video I uploaded was the day after the Vive released consumer. So that's how far back I was working on it back in the DK2 days. And obviously, then I just noticed on the comments chain here as well that someone said, please not on the Move controllers. And I did actually use the Move controllers before. I've used a bunch of them. I started off with my PS2 controller back in the first Halo VR video, where using the analog stick, I didn't just turn. So it wasn't just like mouse aiming like usual. It actually moves a cursor that's on screen, absolute to the analog. So if you take the analog here, and as you move it, it sort of moves the actual pointer on screen. So if I move left, it puts the pointer on the left side. But when you release, it's back in the center. And only when you go really far off the left or right, it does the actual fake turning. So that's something I was thinking about for the whole Doom VR issue. It could help. It could be a little bit better. I moved that over to Leap Motion, then to this thing, the Move controller. And finally, when I got my touch controllers, my channel went from 100 subscribers a month up to 900 subscribers a month. So yeah, that makes the difference in VR. That's amazing with the hand controllers.
So it's actually funny, like he's mixing something that goes viral every time, like something VR related that everyone wants to be in VR or play in VR, with like genius Locomotion.
Without
so you get your attention in a way, but also show people how you should be able to move in VR.
It's what I want to do, because it's actually something. It's not just for the views. It is for the views, guys. You guys got to do that. But the thing is, these are all things I wanted to do in VR. I wanted to see Halo in VR, but I know Microsoft's gonna come out with some other. I might not.
Mike, I know. Just don't say anything, Mike.
He's so unhappy. He's lost all his hair because of it, guys. Anyways, sorry, I didn't mean that as an insult. So I wanted to see Crysis in VR, and that's something that I'll be playing around with later on. I wanted to see Mario the way it's showing on screen right now. I wanted to see Sonic, and nobody was doing them, and anyone who was doing them the old DK2 way, where you've got your keyboard and mouse. And I thought, I'm making this system anyway. Let's see how it feels in an actual game scenario. So I just went ahead, and that Mario game there, all of those assets built. I did it in 10 days from the idea, and thought, screw it, I'm just going to go all out. I can't do that right now because I've got a full-time job, but there you go.
So Nims, I've got a question for you. This is obviously your passion area. So where do you see this going? I mean, one of the things Palmer Luckey used to talk about was this kind of convergence of the different control schemes together into kind of a uniform. And I think we're kind of seeing that. You're seeing the various, the Knuckles controls are out there now, and a few other things. Where do you see this converging? What do you see in your mind is the appropriate control scheme we should be using in the next 2 years?
Well, right now, the closest to perfection to me is the Oculus controller, and not just because I was given it. Right, I was given it. Sorry, guys, I gotta say it, but there you go. Thank you, Oculus guys. You've made an amazing change to me. Anyway, it's sort of the controls. What I want to do is have a full gamepad on my hands and still have pure finger tracking and everything. That's what I want in the future, which I think we're coming towards it and moving away at the same time. So we've got the Knuckles controller is the example of that, where they've now given you that finger tracking again, like we had with the Leap Motion, but they've taken out the triggers and everything. So again, we're going back one step, move forward one step. I want them both. I want the triggers there to actually give me those fingers, So I have something that can push back on me when we have that tech. So what I want in the future is where you push your trigger down and it'll push back on you because you're holding something. That would be amazing. And it's so doable. It's so doable.
We talked about that last week, actually, Nim.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
I have a lot of weekend shifts these days, and I'm actually on holiday this week coming, so I've got so much work to do. I was hoping to release the Halo VR demo somehow on the end of next week, if I can get that much done. So right now, again, sorry, back to the point. I do tend to ramble. What do I see in the future is, like I was saying with the whole what's it called? I've got it written down here. Sprint vector. Like I was saying there, I want to be able to do everything a human can do in VR. So right now, I've shown my most recent video where I'm standing on a pirate ship. It's a completely physics-based ship, so I can just step on, step off, and it moves with that. And I have full physics hands, so I can just sort of push down on something and track it and just sort of push the wheel, and it moves the whole ship while I'm standing on it and I'm getting pushed about by the physical ship. I want to be able to do that with everything. I want to be able to sit at a desk in VR, having finger tracking in VR, the actual virtual computer in front of me. I should be able to type. If I can play piano perfectly like I can in real life in VR, then they've kicked it on the control scheme.
Yeah. Cool.
So
Good
Nimzo, like, what actually got you into doing this? Like, what's your sort of background? You know, how did you get into the scene in the first place?
I've been into games ever since I started playing Mario Bros. So I had a Super Nintendo, which I still have somewhere. In fact, here's a SNES controller. This is a USB one, but I have got my original one, which, by the way, was built, and the manufacture date is the exact same day as my birthday. So it's amazing how, that's a nostalgia trip right there. So I had a SNES, I had a Mega Drive, and back in them days when I saw Mario, when I saw Sonic, I said, I want to be able to make games. Fast forward 10 years, I started programming when I was about 12 years old. And again, the aim was still to get into game dev. So I was making games on Game Maker. I was working on 3D Game Studio. And then I came across Unity a few years later, and the world changed because Unity changes the way you work completely. See, I'd used Unreal back before then, and even then I hit Unity and it was amazing. So once I got into that, you can see on my channel, my first thing that I made was actually intended to be a remake of Mario 64. And you can see it in that video. I just replaced the character with a cat. Just before Mario got turned into a cat, I actually made a cat replace Mario, which is funny. It just sort of synchronized anyway. And ever since then, that game became something of its own. Now, Tubby Super Cat, Tubby being the name that I call my actual cat. So he's famous now. He's a star. Yeah, and eventually, when I finally, first a glimpse I got of modern VR was the Oculus TK1. I used to watch PewDiePie back then. I tend to watch him a lot less now. But he started playing.
Sorry, Nim, I'm lost. What question are you answering?
Is it how
I was getting into VR. Getting into VR.
Thanks.
So
sorry,
I saw. I know. I told you I ramble.
Ramble, yeah.
I saw PewDiePie playing VR, and I was like, "That's exactly what I wanted." The day I started playing computer games, I want to be able to do that. And then I finally got a DK2, and I was like, "Why is it that everything's based on this analog stick? Why can't I walk in VR?" And I thought, screw it, I'm gonna walk in VR. I don't care what other people do. I don't care. I'm gonna do my own stuff. So right now,
what was your solution in the end then to that? Like, if you can explain, like, for people that can't maybe see, for example.
Again, still rambling. Sorry about that.
That's fine. That's fine. Go for it.
The current system is I use the head tracking, not just direct head tracking. It's actually tracking this point here. So I've done a bit of calculations to figure out where that point is.
Right.
Rather that way, when you do this, it doesn't move.
So lower rear and the back of your neck, kind of.
Yeah. So it's sort of calculated where your neck pivot is, and that way, I'm basically detecting your body position.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Just that sort of stays in one place.
For the audio listeners, you might want to describe as you're pointing on your body.
All right. Sorry. Yeah. So I'm sort of calculating where your current neck pivot point is, where your neck is rather than where your head is.
Yeah.
And as it moves up and down as you walk in place, it uses that to calculate that you're walking forward. Now, the other thing is you're using your analog stick or your touchpad on a Vive to control direction. So that also activates the movement. That way you have full room scale, which is something that I don't like about the, what they called Omni treadmills. You don't have room scale. Here you have full room scale, which is the best way to move in VR. And then on top of that, as soon as you push your analog stick or Vive touchpad in a direction you want to go, you can start head bob moving and you start walking in that direction. And you can control your speed like that. The other thing I've done is a bit of simple calculations where as you sort of go into a crouch, it detects that you're not doing a head bob and you're actually moving down. And it prevents the movement system from doing anything.
Well, other than adult entertainment being able to use that, what's your favorite? Last question here. What's your favorite project or thing that you've made happen?
Right now, it's mostly the physics stuff. So I want to get that physics into VR where we don't have any sort of fake interactions. Everything's completely pushable naturally with your hands, and there's those physical limitations of muscles. So you can
we all want that.
We all want that, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Fake buttons in VR right now. Fake
yeah.
'em.
So what I would suggest to like the audience and the listeners is go and check Nimzo's site out. So what is it, Nimzo? Just if you want to shout out your site website name.
Yeah, so it's actually the Nimsony channel, Nimsony. You can see me on the screen there, Nimso, written under topic. I don't know why I'm not a topic. Anyways, yeah, that's on YouTube. Otherwise, I have an itch.io page, which is obviously where I release my games right now. I'll try and get on Steam eventually. Right now, it's a bit costly if I'm doing demo.
We've shared it in the chat as well, so people can find the link that Nathie just posted
Nathie.
there.
And what I'll do is I'll also, when I re-upload it, I'll put the link in the description down below. So basically what it is, you've got the Mario game you can check out. I would really recommend checking out the Sony one if you're used to sort of Locomotion in VR. The Sonic one, yeah. If you're used to Locomotion in VR, it's a bit sort of extreme in a way because it can make you feel a bit sick. But I would totally go and check it out because it is a crazy way of implementing Locomotion in the game, and it's really smart as well. And like you say, when you bob down, you can sort of do the spin as Sonic, which is really nice.
And
Yeah, seriously, just give it a try, like the Super Mario one and also like the Sonic one. And I mean, if you like it and you think it's like, wow, this could be a way of like, I want to have this in like other games too, of Locomotion, and I would just like maybe donate a bit as well. I mean, you're not doing this full time yet. Let's make it happen. You know, I mean, you're doing a great job. I haven't seen many people make like really interesting new Locomotion systems and trying that out, and also let people at the public also give it a try. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Again, why I really love Sprint Vector so far, what I've seen of it, because it's not using the standard, we need to teleport. You get all that movement. But again, I want to prevent the whole hand tracking movement because I want to be able to play a first-person shooter like I'm doing with the Halo VR without that affecting anything. So I can just point the direction and control the speed with my body. So as you were saying about that spin ball, sorry about it, just very quickly, the spin ball on the Sonic VR, a lot of people did say it's a bit of a weird effect. That's actually what's happening. It's a camera, so you can actually see the world spinning around you. It's just not fully viewing on top. You still get that forward motion. So that's what Sonic sees when he's spinning.
Well, what I'll do is I'll just chuck it out to the chat if they've got any questions for Nimzo or any questions for us before we wrap this show up. We've got to kind of wrap this one up a little bit earlier than normal today. But yeah, so if you've got any comments or questions in the chat, now is the time, or forever hold your peace.
So I guess, well, that's going, Mike. Then we have the standard question you always ask us, which is, what have you been playing?
Yeah, man, what have you been playing? Apart from Doom, obviously.
I'm gonna do my little party trick here, okay?
Go.
Fuzroda! What's that?
Nice, man.
Nice.
That's me Christmas jumper there.
So Zim is rocking the Skyrim festive jumper.
I saw the Yogscast wearing that as well. just recently on their little Christmas live
Oh.
stream.
Now we know
And-
what he's watching.
Oh,
There
I
we
watch
go.
plenty of. I watch so many YouTube
He
channels right
exposed
now.
himself.
What have you been playing, Rowdy?
I've played Doom and actually not that much more this past week. Like I did play like some multiplayer games, but just with regular friends, but nothing like worth mentioning at the moment.
What about you, Nathie?
For me, it's also Doom. I also played a bartending VR simulator, and I played Fantastic Beasts. It's not out yet, but I can tell you it's pretty cool. And if it's free, then a lot of people will have a great time for sure. Yeah.
Nathie, the first one you said, that was either apartment simulator or apartheid simulator. Neither of those sound good.
Bartending simulator.
Bartending VR.
Apartheid simulator.
That looks pretty good. I saw the video.
You can mix drinks, and you also get points for doing crazy tricks by throwing glasses into the ceiling, and then they break, and then you lose again. And I sucked in the game, okay?
I thought of it. Yeah.
But it was fun.
But what about in real life? Have you done any bartending?
Of course, no. No.
So what about you, Nimzo? What are you playing right now?
Believe it or not, I sort of work all the time. If I'm not at my job, I'm working on here. Right now, the only thing I've been playing is a bit of Splinter Cell and some Assassin's Creed.
Oh, nice.
But
Quality.
realistically, yeah, I haven't had a chance to play any of the VR games right now. I only just got my little, my little is a bad way to explain it, but GTX 1080 like last week.
Yeah.
And I've just, like I said earlier, I've got some new fans as well for my computer. I'm just upgrading right now, and then I'm gonna go in and play every game. And I'm gonna go for Skyrim because that's the one I'm excited the most about.
So you're deep in the upgrade cycle. So,
But yeah, right now I'm just everything is just pure work. I get home from work and I'm straight on the computer programming, and that's how I'm making a video once a week.
yeah,
I know what you're
Without that,
talking
I
about.
can't make it.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
Like,
we all know how that feels, having to work and do this as a hobby stroke full time as well. It's
Yeah,
hard work,
this is my career. That's my job. That's what I
Yeah.
said to my guys at work all the time.
Exactly.
Mike. Mike,
I
that
need
was
to
your
share
game.
a quick, short horror story here.
Go on.
You guys, I'm staying with some friends here in London, and my friend brings down from his bedroom with dust on the top of the box a Vive, which he bought 6 months ago and has never set up.
Oh my word.
Wow.
I was like, no. Tomorrow we are setting that up. I don't care if I'm gonna.
What do you mean tomorrow?
We are
What,
setting that
what do
up.
you mean tomorrow? That's crazy. Do it now.
Yeah.
Dude, I
Yeah.
got a party.
Yeah. So a bit like Nathie, I also got to check out Fantastic Beasts and where to find them, which was very, very nice. And I think if you're a fan of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, you will totally love that. My wife, for one, is going to go absolutely batshit crazy over this. So that'd be
You
really,
can
really
do
cool.
magic things with
Oh.
leaves, by the way. It's
Yeah.
very fun.
Mike, your scarf.
Yeah,
That
you like
was
that?
intentional, wasn't it? Was that
Yeah.
intentional?
Oh yeah. That's a Hufflepuff scarf right there. Yeah.
And I have to say, because I gave you kudos for it, watch Mike's video on this recent
Fantastic.
one. What
Yeah,
was the
the
name of the
Fantastic-
game again?
Fantastic Beasts and where to find them.
It was really
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
I
you
enjoyed
like that. Yeah, so we're going to wrap the show up. Like I say, we're going to cut this one a little bit short. But if you've got any questions, if anyone asks any questions, and
I didn't
we'll.
really see any questions, but yeah, there was one person that said that I wasn't the one in the stream again with a beard. So
Yeah, the beards of VR. Yeah.
I will buy a fake one, okay?
We'll get that
We're
solved. We'll
considering
get
whether
that
it's-
solved next week. Huh? Next week, Nate will have a beard.
Next week.
Santa Claus one,
We'll
a
see.
white beard, a white
Look at
beard,
it.
Nathie, to go
We'll
with
get
your
it.
hair.
We'll see what we can
Yeah,
do. Okay?
totally. A white beard, you know, a full red bubble hat, and a big fat belly as well.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
you're at the right time. Right
Okay,
time
guys.
to grow
So this has obviously been episode 13 of the VR Inside podcast. 13 it's been a bit of a crazy one this episode. We've had some problems at the start, but we'll get it sorted. We're still sort of very new to this, but we're still having a great time, and that's the most important thing. And I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. So just to recap, it's a weekly show, obviously, that is streamed live on Nathie's YouTube channel. Tune into the show live at 4 p.m. in Europe, 3 p.m. in UK, 9 a.m. in Central US. Catch up with the audio version only on iTunes and Google Play Music, or just catch up with the whole video on my YouTube channel, Virtual Reality Oasis, which I upload on Sunday. So that is the end of this week's show, guys. Thank you for being a part of it. Apologies for the things that happened at the beginning, but we'll get it ironed out, I promise you. Thanks again, guys.
This is a
and we'll
clean video, you.
see you on
Good
the
night.
next one.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.